Liverpool are missing Trent Alexander-Arnold. You have to admit that however you feel about the lad, what he did to us, how he left for Real Madrid, let it all go. He was an amazing player for us. He was an excellent attacking, creative force, especially setting up Mo Salah. I think Mo Salah has a lot of his career to thank Trent for. He also would find players across the field. Diaz, he'd find on cross-field balls. He'd help really shape all our attacking movements. We've lost him. It's going to impact us massively. Clearly, it has, done with 4 losses on the bounce and actually not performing brilliantly at all this season, despite winning those first 7. Let's have a look at this article. Whilst we go through it, do give me your thoughts in the comments below. Can you see us replacing Trent with another creative force in the team? Who is our next best passer? Give me your thoughts below. I'm Lawrence on Liverpool, tiny Liverpool fan channel. Only 1,400 subscribers. Can we get to 2,000 by the end of the year? Help me get there. So it's interesting because I've talked in previous videos about how we struggle against the low defensive block. This article is arguing we also struggle against the high defensive block. To clarify what we mean by that, low defensive block is when a team is sitting right back in their penalty area, just in front of their box, really camping down, hunkering in defense, and just blocking every potential shot and pass through to strikers. Hoping then for the ball to spill out to one of their players, let their striker burst forward on a run, hit a long ball, counter-attack, 1-0 against Liverpool. Thank you very much. That's been a strategy that several teams have deployed against us so far this season, and it's worked quite a bit. A high defensive block is the same compact, tight defense midfield structure, really trying to block any passes for through balls and lanes for attack, but a bit higher up. So it's a bit more pressing. The Premier League is home to some of the best executed defensive setups in the world, whether that is in the form of physical high presses or stubborn and compact blocks. Bypassing a high press can be done in 2 ways: playing through the pressure, lots of tiki-taka football, or by going long and playing over the pressure, which has been happening to us with long ball counterattacks. Against a good press or a higher defensive block, Liverpool have struggled to get the ball up the pitch as effectively as they did last season. This can partly be explained by Alexander-Arnold's on-ball quality, and using an example against Spurs last season helps illustrate the point. So let's have a look at this photo, this still here from a match. See Alexander Isak on the very left of the screen, striking a ball. I think it's McAllister from the body shape. It looks like it's McAllister right there in the centre, near to the referee. Throughout the game, Spurs applied a high press looking to win the ball early. The right back's body was angled infield, and with Son closing Trent down quickly, access to players on the wide was cut off, right? That's how you work the press. But a massively underrated part of Trent's game, and one that Liverpool missed greatly, is his ability to play with his weak foot. So he was able to turn and use his left foot to still deliver an accurate pass into the unmarked Alexis McAllister. So it is him who's sitting there in the centre of the pitch. Once McAllister gets the ball, look, there's no one around him because they've been pressing Trent, now free to attack. And the article says, a hallmark of Liverpool's build-up last season was in finding the midfielders centrally who were often staggered. In this example, Ryan Gravenberch has left the centre of the pitch to move into the right flank, dragging his marker with him. McAllister comes over, and Szoboszlai arrives to form a sort of zigzag-like shape. Let's look at that again. Yeah, a lovely little triangle. You can see that triangle there. McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai. Nice little triangle there. The staggered positioning allowed Liverpool to bounce passes around late arriving pressure between the midfielders and fullbacks with minimal touches and move up the pitch. Excellent. Why are we struggling to do that this season? The writer of this article says it's because Bradley is less accomplished with the weaker foot. He's unable to turn and pass inwards. Everything's running down the right and crossing from the right. In the defeat by Chelsea, Slot opted for Connor Bradley, who found himself in a very similar situation as Trent did against Spurs. Garnacho pressed high, Bradley was facing infield, and access to the wide areas was cut off. And the argument here is that Bradley, similar to Frimpong, is less accomplished on his weak foot. And so they can't turn and pass into the center of the pitch with as much accuracy and speed as Trent could last season. And so even though he is seeing Szoboszlai in a very similar position to where McAllister was in the previous example, he chose to pass back to Konate because he didn't trust his left foot to get it to Szoboszlai without allowing one of the Chelsea players around there to steal the ball first. Oh, this is interesting too. So we heard loads of amazing things about Florian Wirtz, didn't we? How he literally dominates games, influences every moment of an attack in a match. And yet he's not been that for us so far. Why is that? Wirtz dropping deeper than at Leverkusen. Short build-up is clearly an issue that requires addressing, and compromises have to be made in getting the ball up to attackers. One way in which Liverpool have done this has been using Wirtz deeper. The German midfielder's biggest strengths lie in the final third, but given his excellent technical quality, particularly his passing, Wirtz is dropping deeper in order to get the ball. For Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen, Wirtz would often stand on the left flank waiting for the ball to be brought up the pitch by teammates before getting involved. Comparing where he's receiving passes this season to last season highlights a stark difference. So if he's used to being higher up and slightly to the left or on that left flank, getting the ball in already an attacking position, then the creativity is, can he find a killer pass? Can he dribble past one defender and make an opening for himself? If he's getting the ball deeper, one, he's not used to it, but two, he's got so many more opposition bodies ahead of him, ready to press him, harry him, block his passes. You can understand why he'd be less effective. Now, can he adapt over the course of this season? Maybe, hopefully, but right now he's not. He's getting pushed off the ball, he's getting pressed, he's getting harried into doing wayward passing. His passing's not been brilliant, let's be honest here, even though he's meant to be an amazing passer. Under pressure, he hasn't adapted yet and he's giving away a lot of balls. And he's not able to dribble around players as much as in the compilations I've seen of him in previous seasons. Liverpool played 3.4 switches of play per 90 minutes last season, and that is down to 1.3 per 90 minutes this season. A switch is when a player passes from one flank, let's say the right-hand side of the pitch, to the left-hand side of the pitch. I know most of you know this, but for anyone who doesn't, let me just explain it so we're all on the same page. Something Trent used to do so much when he'd do a cross-field diagonal ball to Luis Diaz, for example, or to Cody Gakpo, or over to Andy Robbo, who would be bursting a lung to get up there. And we do the same on the other side. Robbo would attempt them, not as much as Trent, but he would attempt them. Now we're down to 1.3, almost 2/3 less attempts at switching the ball. This decrease is partially explained by Trent leaving. We don't have our best passer on the pitch anymore because Trent did that with both feet, as we've already discussed, often finding a left winger, Diaz Gakpo. Tactically, this forced a deeper defending side to have to shuffle across to the pitch to quickly close down Diaz or Gakpo as they receive the ball. And good shout, Virgil also has a decent crossfield ball on him, and then finding a diagonal pass to Mo Salah, our Egyptian king, but for some reason he's doing that less this year. Why is that? Wow, and this is probably the biggest difference. Trent would play 11.3 long passes per 90 minutes. Bradley only plays 3.7 and Frimpong only plays 1.1. And Trent would have 42.1% pass accuracy on those long passes. Bradley has 16% and Frimpong has 0. He hasn't made a single long pass so far this season. That's because they're not that kind of player. But then, who else in the world is that kind of player? Trent is so unique from that right-back position. There aren't many like him, or I can't even think of one. And then the last part of the article that we're going to talk about is Salah playing with his back to goal. The players at a coach's disposal dictate which tactics become viable, right? Isak and Salah are both players who thrive when attacking at speed, facing defenders in space. With this option not being opted for as much, their strengths aren't being platformed as often as they should be. Now, I haven't said that about Isak, but I can see it. I've definitely said that about Mo Salah. We are not playing to his strengths. One, maybe because we don't have the players that can do that anymore. We don't have that right-sided partner for Mo Salah who can play those long through passes or long over-the-top lobbed passes to Salah to set him off on runs. As we've just seen, Frimpong and Bradley aren't attempting those kinds of long passes anywhere near as much as Trent. And when they do, their accuracy is abysmal. So they're not that kind of a player. We've basically taken the providing for Mo Salah away from him and expect him to perform exactly the same way. That's probably not fair. Now, let me clarify. We haven't taken that away from him. Trent wanted to leave. Trent did that all himself. And as I say, we can't find similar. But when a player like Salah has been playing so much one way for so many years, for it to suddenly brutally change, you've got to cut the guy some slack. You know, he has to now fully adapt to a whole new system of playing and find a way to still be effective in games. That's tough to do. And the article finishes, for as great a player as Salah has been, he struggles more when defenders apply close pressure on his back, preventing him from turning to face the goal. His options become more limited and he tends to pass it back when this scenario arises. For anyone who was like good riddance when Trent left us, I get the sentiment. It was a shame that Trent did that. It's a shame he destroyed the love Liverpool fans had for him by breaking his promises to be a one-club man for his whole career, to eventually become captain of Liverpool, to stay with us forever. He suddenly switched that up entirely, and it was revealed he'd been learning Spanish for years because he always intended to go to Real Madrid once he had run down his contract. But remove the emotion from it, we have to accept that Trent was one of our biggest stars from a creative point of view, and key to how he played, and absolutely key to how Mo Salah was so deadly and effective over the years. And now we've lost that, we have to find a way to adapt. Can we? Can Arne Slot find a way to adapt? What do you think is the solution? Is it drop Mo Salah? Is it put Frimpong or Chiesa on in his place? Is it find other means in which to get the ball to Mo Salah in deadly positions? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Once again, I appreciate all your support. Likes, subscribes, they help me grow. They're very, very important to me. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Bye-bye.